What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Ogre Boy, and I'm going to be joined by Kenny Havoc and Big D from Big D's Entertainment's Rankings and Reviews, and we're going to be reviewing the movie Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales, the 5th movie in the franchise, and at least for right now, it's the last movie in the franchise, and if it's the last one with Johnny Depp, for me, it will be the last in the franchise, whether they keep making more or not. But before I get into my part, I'm going to let my guests do their parts first. So first I'll let Big D go first this time, since I let Kenny Havoc go first last time the three of us did a video together. So take it away, Big D.
Hey everyone, this is the Big D of Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews here, and I'm proud to be part of this here little collab with Ogre Boy 1992 and Kenny Havoc as we review Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. This is the one I never thought I would want to watch, but after I recently watched it for the first time in its entirety, I'm going to say it's not too bad. It's a little bit of a step up from On Stranger Tides. I mean, Johnny Depp is absolutely, once again, hysterical as Captain Jack Sparrow. Really something. I really do enjoy his work in those movies. Now, Armando Salazar is the bad guy of this. I gotta say, he is an absolute great villain. And we have Jeffrey Rush back as Hector Barbosa, Sparrow's rival. Yeah, and now the reason why I say it's a continuation, well, a step up from On Stranger Tides, this is kind of a continuation years after the events of At World's End, because we got Brenton Thwaites as Henry Turner, the son of Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann, who both make cameo appearances in the movie. Not too bad for those two actors in their original roles. Now, I also thought this had some other good performances. We have Kaya Scodelario as Karina Smith, the astronomer who was wrongly accused of being a witch. Yes, he was a good character. And Kevin McNally's back as Josh Hamid Gibbs, Captain Jack's little friend and first mate. Another thing that really surprised me was a special appearance of Beale Paul McCartney as Jack's paternal uncle, Uncle Jack. Now that was really something. Now, I really think the story isn't too bad, and I appreciate it being a little bit shorter than the last few, but even so, I think this is very good and what have you. I really appreciate it being a little more darker and what have you, like some of the first installment, The Curse of the Black Pearl, which I do believe was pretty dark, but this was much more dark than that movie, and I have to give, well, the filmmakers credit for that, considering it's a Disney movie. So anyway, I really thought Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales was a pretty good swashbuckling experience. I thought it wasn't too bad. It's kind of mostly in between an okay good, and good in ways. Not the best of the Pirates series, but it manages to pull some stuff off. Anyway, this is the Big D saying see ya, and thanks again for making me a part of this, Ogre Boy 1992. You're good, buddy. Ciao for now.
Thank you, Big D, for joining. It was awesome getting you to be able to join in here with us this time and everything. Missed having you on the last one, not having you on the last one. So next up is Kenny Havoc, so take it away, Kenny.
Please, I just want to be done. I don't want to have to review Dead Men Tell No Tales. Hello, today we're going to review Dead Men Tell No Tales. Now, if you were to tell me that I had the choice between being strapped to a chair locked in a room and every 20 minutes being stabbed repeatedly with a flaming hot torch, or watching On Stranger Tides, or watching Dead Men Tell No Tales, I might consider that first option for a little bit, but I probably would end up taking Dead Men Tell No Tales over it all, because it's just slightly better than those other two options. But it might not actually be better than on Stranger Tides. To just look at the movies themselves, then objectively Dead Men Tell No Tales is slightly better, but subjectively, it might be worse. The first problem was with Johnny Depp. So during the filming of this, he was involved in that horrible relationship. We're not going to say her name, but it was in the midst of that. A lot of the media was taking her side. He had horrible depression. And during the filming, in the on-set hotel he was staying at, he would be hours late for filming. And they'd have to send somebody out there in order to walkie-talkie to the rest of the crew when he was waking up. It would often be like 4 or 5 hours after they had started filming, and he would always be seen with some kind of alcohol just to get him through the day. So you take all of that together, who the hell thought, yeah, this guy looks ready to star in a movie? Like, this is Disney we're talking about. They have enough money to buy The Sun if they want it. You telling me you can't just postpone filming for a few months and send him to some kind of rehab or therapist or anything? You have that money. Just do that. Do you really want to sacrifice your main character just because, oh, well, we need some more money? It's so infuriating that this movie exists at this time, because you can tell just watching the movie itself, Johnny does not want to be there. The writing of Jack in this movie is abysmal. They treat it like, oh, he's just been lucky these last few movies, not, oh, he's been smart, he's doing the wolf in sheep's clothing sort of tactic in order to gain people's trust by them thinking, oh, he's just an idiot. But he's actually very smart. He does have a little bit of luck to help him, but it's mostly just his intellect that gets him out of these situations. Whereas in this movie, they completely treat, oh, it was luck, he's just an idiot, he doesn't know what he's doing. Everyone can manipulate him and win. The fault of Jack isn't just completely on the writers, though. In fact, it's mostly not on them. It's mostly on Johnny himself, because you can write the worst character in the world, but if the actor who's playing them is happy to do it, is excited about this character, then the character will end up being at least somewhat charming on screen. But Jack Sparrow in Dead Men Tell No Tales is just a chore to watch. So as bad as the protagonist was, the antagonist can't be that bad, right? Right? Yeah, we're a long way away from this guy. Okay, so can we please just talk about this guy? Because this guy sucks. Like, say what you want about Blackbeard, but at least he was a better villain than Salazar. Like, because Blackbeard, he wasn't someone from Jack's past, or like someone that was haunting Jack or whatever. He was just a random pirate that, Jack had heard of him, but he wasn't like someone that Jack was intertwined with at some point. This guy was. And that's an issue because we're already 4 movies in, and it's apparently like he's been searching for Jack this whole time. How has he not found him? I hate when movies do someone from the main character's past, like so many movies into the series. Like, Davey worked because it was 1 movie in. We are now 4 movies in, and this guy still hasn't found it. And you can clearly tell this guy's just a Control-C, Control-V of Davy Jones, because he has like all of Davy's special powers, like the teleportation that can't be killed. Hey, we like when our main villains in Pirates of the Caribbean can't be hurt at all. We haven't seen that before. And he has his ability to die when he steps on land. That was everyone's favorite Davy Jones trait. So it seemed like the writers thought, well, people like Davy Jones' powers, right? That's what people like about him. Not the, complicated backstory, the sympathetic nature of his character, or the fact that you almost wanted to root for him at certain points. Whereas this guy, like, you can say so much about all the different villains in this series, all of their special traits that make them unique. What makes this guy unique is that he says Sparrow kind of funny. And that's about it. They got Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley back, but it's almost like they didn't, because Orlando Bloom's whole thing was, I don't want you to save me. And good luck trying to get Keira Knightley to say some lines. That's about $500,000 per line. We ain't paying for that. We'll just have her stand at the end there. They replaced Elizabeth Swann with Karina, who was Barbossa's daughter. Boy, Disney, I see what you're doing here. You really like doing that trait, don't you? And they also replaced Will Turner with his son, Henry Turner, who is somehow more boring than Will Turner. I didn't think that was possible, to make a character more boring than Will Turner, but they did it. I should never doubt Disney again. They always seem to amaze me. The whole plot of this movie is basically just the first movie of, hey, let's have a Turner break Jack Sparrow out of jail to help him get something. But unlike the first movie, where is Jack tricking Will into making him help him because he was the Turner Barbossa wanted, now it's just, oh, he broke me out of jail, I guess I gotta go help him. And what they're trying to get is the trident, which is supposed to break all curses of the sea, because of course it will. It's not like we had a movie where we had our own magical MacGuffin that's supposed to break a curse, but it was very specific to one thing. This is just, oh yeah, everything's just going to be retconned if we find it. You know what we call that? Lazy writing. Anyway, they find the trident, Barbossa dies trying to kill Salazar, because Salazar's curse is broken, because of the trident, of course, and then now Will Turner doesn't have to be the captain of the Dutchman anymore, because the curse is broken, because it's just, why not? Why not, I guess? And then the very end, the end credits scene, supposed to, oh, Davy Jones is back, and people are like, oh, because the Dutchman needs a captain. But no, it doesn't, because that's a curse the sea has been broken. What are you doing? Also, I don't want Davy Jones back. His story arc is done. Why does Disney constantly bring back villains that have their arcs done and just completely rewrite the other movies just because, oh, cash grab? I'm so tired of Disney writing every single one of their movies like Avengers. Avengers works because it's written that way. These movies do not work when they're written like Avengers. Just stop. Remember when these reviews were fun? You can't tell already, I hate basically everything that happens in this movie. Barbossa is the one thing saving this from being actual dumpster fire, and he's not even that great here. No offense, but his writing's not very good in this one. So that's my thoughts.
Okay, thank you, Kenny. I agree with a lot of both of y'all's points in this movie, and everything. I just want to say thank you to both of y'all for joining me in here, and I hope y'all still want to join me for my ranking. I'll probably be ready to do that sometime whenever y'all are ready. Just let me know, and I'm gonna go ahead and get into my part. I agree with a lot of the stuff that both of y'all said, especially you, Kenny, on how this movie just, it's not as good as the first three. And when I saw it the first time in the theater and stuff, I really enjoyed it and everything. But then, and I watched it a couple years ago and still loved it, but rewatching it this time after watching all of the other ones so recently and everything, I noticed the big dip in quality. The story, I think, is okay, but it's not anything new for the franchise. It's just pretty much repeating stuff with Captain Salazar, who's pretty much a wannabe Davy Jones. He's not really that scary or anything, and I did kind of like the little bit of backstory we did get on him and like why he wants revenge on Jack Sparrow, but that scene, it's not aged very well. Like, the CGI on Johnny Depp looks absolutely horrible, and this is one of those franchises that, if you remember in all of the previous reviews, I've talked about how the CGI is amazing in all of them and everything, and even the last one, which I was not a fan of, I thought the CGI was really good in, but this movie, the CGI has aged really, really badly. Like the movie's only been out for 4 years, and it already feels like it's aged a lot. Like, it looked pretty bad back in 2017, but it looks even worse now on rewatch. And it might just be that the DVD I have might not be the best quality in picture and stuff, but to me it just looked really bad. I did like some of the new characters though, like Karina Smith. I thought she was a pretty good character, and the little twist with her dad being Barbossa and stuff, I have mixed feelings on it. In a way, I liked it because it like really gave us a new perspective on Barbossa and gave him a little bit of a cool arc, but at the same time they find it out so late in the movie that it doesn't really go anywhere, and by the time the movie ends, they're just wanting anything real great about it. There was no real emotional connection between the two of them. They talked a little bit and they didn't have much of a bond, so when he dies and stuff, there's not really any emotional connection there, if that makes sense. I mean, yeah, it's cool getting to see a character we know and love change and stuff and give his life for his daughter and stuff like that, but at the same time it wasn't as written as well as it could have been, and I like it, but I don't like it at the same time. It just was one of those things that it was kind of weird, and like him falling in slow motion. Every time I see that scene, it makes me think of Gwen Stacy falling in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and everything, where that death scene was actually gut punching and stuff. Even though I wasn't a fan of the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I will say her death was sadly more effective than Barbossa's. Like, it wasn't very satisfying and everything. And I think making this the shortest movie in the franchise, the third act was really, really rushed and everything. It kind of felt anticlimactic. They just rushed everything way too much, and everything. And like Salazar just was not intimidating. He was not a very good villain. I totally agree on that. And even though I agree that Blackbeard was better written, I do think I like Salazar a tiny bit more, just because of the fact that he's a little bit more memorable because of that ridiculous way he says Sparrow and his design and stuff. The bad CGI kind of makes him a little bit more memorable, and his backstory makes him a little more memorable. But that being said, I don't really care for him as much as I remembered either. He was just an okay villain, and I agree on Henry Turner being a boring character. I was never a fan of Will Turner. I mean, if y'all remember, I've talked about him being one of the worst characters in the franchise, if not my least favorite character. So I will say that Henry was boring. I don't think he was just as boring as Will, though. Like, he didn't get on my nerves like Will did. There was just something about him being over dramatic and stuff that would get on my nerves and everything, when Henry didn't really do that as much. But that one scene when they're in the boat and stuff, and Karina's taking her dress off to go swimming to shore and stuff and everything, and then Henry leaves him and Jack's like, y'all are all just alike and everything. That scene cracks me up. And also stuff with Johnny Depp, I agree that he wasn't as into this movie as he was the previous movies. Like, even the fourth one, like all of the previous movies, you could tell he was putting 100% into his role. In this one, something was missing. I don't know what it is, but it just, I think, like you said, a lot of the stuff going on in his personal life had a lot to do with it, and he really seemed like he was drunk throughout the movie. I mean, I know Jack Sparrow was supposed to act drunk and everything, but the way Johnny Depp talked and stuff, it was like he was actually literally drunk making this movie and everything, and he didn't have that magical spark in him that he did in the previous movies that made Jack Sparrow so lovable. And he did still have his moments, so there were some really funny parts in this movie and everything, especially the part when they're talking about the horology and stuff. That scene had me cracking up in the movie theater, and I remember everybody in the theater was cracking up in that scene, even though it's kind of cringy, but it's also hilarious. And there were some other good moments in here. I felt like they could have left Will and Elizabeth out of the movie, and it wouldn't have really changed a whole lot, but I'm glad they brought them in here, at least to give this one a little bit of continuity to the original trilogy, unlike the last movie did, where it just pretty much didn't even have anything to do with the previous one. So I like that about it, and it does have some pretty good cinematography though, but also a lot of it, it feels like a lot of the stuff was done on green screen and everything. I don't know if it was, but it felt like a lot of it was filmed just like on an indoor set instead of on location like the other movies were. But there were some parts of it where it looked really, really good, and there were some parts where it didn't. But we'll say that, and the score this time isn't done by Hans Zimmer, so it's not near as good either. Jeff Zanelli did an okay job on the score, but it didn't fit that on that either. It didn't feel like it really worked, and I think the directors were okay, but I really wish I would have gotten Gore Verbinski back and had him help with the story and everything, but he didn't want to do it because he knew this movie was just going to be a cash grab, and I can completely get why he wouldn't want to do it. And really, we could have lived without this movie and the last Pirates movie. I totally agree with everybody that these last two were just cash grabs that were not near as good as they could have been, and the series should have stopped at 3. But I definitely would take this one over Stranger Tides any day, though, and everything. So I'd say I'd give this one a 6.5 out of 10. It's not absolute garbage. I can handle watching it and everything, but to be honest, if I only watch it if I'm watching the complete series, most of the time I probably just skip it if and just stop at 3. Just okay movie, not anything super special, but it was alright and everything. So personally, I hope they're done with this franchise, and if they do make another one, I really hope they bring Johnny Depp back and he feels like he's into the character again and stuff. Hopefully things will get better for him where it'll work, but if they do it and they don't bring him back, I'm not even interested in it, because you can't have pirates without Jack Sparrow. Even when he's not as into the movie, this movie wouldn't have been at least as watchable as it is if it wasn't for Jack Sparrow. So to me anyway. But yeah, so thank you guys for joining me. I had a lot of fun doing this video. I'm sorry it took me so long to do it. I had some unexpected delays and stuff, but I'm glad we finally got this one done, and everything. I'll hit y'all up about doing the ranking. Hopefully we can get that done here pretty soon. And thank you all, and have a good day, everybody.